gonna have a little bit of fun here. This is a rarity because I usually don't do sequel-related videos because sometimes there's not enough to do that kind of thing, but this one's a little bit different. Up to this point in time, I've only done a sequel countdown video twice, and that was the honorable mentions for the OMG NASCAR finishes and the unluckiest NASCAR drivers. This one's going to be a bit different because it's a totally different subject. One of the most enjoyable countdowns I've done was the, well, that was a great damn start, countdown. Basically talking about the fails that have happened to drivers within the first few laps of a race. But what happens if we don't even get that far? What if the green doesn't even wave or turn on and something screwy happens? That's what this countdown's going to be about. And the reason I'm doing this countdown is because in my Great Damn Start countdown, there were some comments relating to things that have happened on the pace laps, or not even on the pace lap. We haven't even gotten off the pit road without a fail, which means I gave one away, but it's going to be there anyway. So, let's have a little fun here. I love doing hilarious countdowns. This is always a fun one. So, here it is. This is Top 10 Countdown. Really? We didn't even get to the green yet moments.
The other guys had to drop back for an engine change. Now you see the 29 car of Kevin Harvick racing toward pit road. They have waved off the green flag because of that bag you see on the top of his car.
That's on our camera.
Sure is.
We need to get that off before the race.
Yes. So he's going to come in and they'll get that off of there, and then we'll reline the field and we'll be able to go racing in the Daytona 500.
We don't want to rob our viewers of a camera. So.
No, not on his car, not on Harvick's car. So he gets the thumbs up from the NASCAR official and heads back out on the track.
Winner of the Mario Andretti Trophy for road course dominance, pole sitter Will Power. They come off of turn number 11 and are looking for the green flag as Will Power steps out ahead of the field. The Apex Brazil green flag, experience our energy waves, and here we go. The field seems to be divided by a, oh, we have a caution already. Oh my. Who is upside down?
It looked like National Guard colors, which would be Weldon.
It is.
And that is before the start-finish line, guys. When we saw that lead pack kind of file in, this happened back coming off 11.
You saw them file through, and then, as you said, Robbie, a gap. And in that gap, there's obviously been a touching of wheels.
And that's right at the beginning of the turn number 11. Going to right the car.
Now, of course, they start the race on the long course, as it's known. When we get going here, they won't go down. That is only done on the start and restart.
Yeah, make a little longer U, and that just allows them to stretch it out and make a cleaner start, you hope. This isn't clean here.
See what happened. Oh my, that was more than just a tip over, wasn't it?
Off the right front there.
Can show the strength of that roll hoop.
Yeah.
And it looked like Baguette was the car that was behind him.
And that's what I say, it was just the right front. It was just a simple little clip. There's the clip.
Yep.
And it sends you over. Well,
wow, that was a nasty one.
Well, that's, you know, when we talk about the challenge of IndyCar racing, open wheel racing, and while you don't spend a lot of time touching out there, that's why right there.
Well, it is a 2x2 start, and Weldon was gridded 12th, which would mean he is on the right. So I think because Will Power got on the gas so soon, they were kind of sliding into single file, and he thought he was clear, and obviously he wasn't.
And you're right. And if you think about it, is that first 10 that we saw, they were at single file already at start-finish line. So they were really using their head and say, let's not have anything crazy happen in turn 2 at the top of the hill here like we saw last year.
Well, Dan is okay. You saw him walk to the ambulance. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to him before too much longer, but it has resulted in a caution very early on here at Sonoma. Down to Lindy.
Dan Weldon standing here and fine, and we're thankful for that. Describe being in that car.
You know, it's never a good thing to be upside down, but you know, obviously everybody at Dallara and the IndyCar Series work extremely hard on the safety aspect of it. It's just for us very disappointing because we, you know, the National Guard Panther Racing team did an extremely good job with the car this weekend, and we were really hoping for a good finish. So it's incredibly unfortunate, but you know, there's nothing you can do about it. You've got to move on, and you know, there's certainly the last 4 races I think are going to be a very strong stretch for us. So we're excited about that, but you know, for all the work that the guys put in, we're extremely disappointed because, like I said, I really felt we had a good chance of having a very, very good result.
I've heard some of your crew say, oh, we always look at the people who go out first lap and think, man, that must feel terrible. And now they said they're feeling it. Describe what it's like to be on the sidelines and have to watch now.
Yeah, it's unusual, and you know, it's not happened to me a lot in my career, so you know, it's not something I want to get used to, and you know, certainly, like I say, we'll move on and you know, rebound very, very strong. Like I say, the next 4 races, expect to see that National Guard car up front.
Dan, thank you.
Thank you.
And Bob, we'll see him in Chicago.
Indeed.
Now it is time to send it up to the booth to the men who will be calling this race. Alan Bestwick, take it away.
Lindsay, thank you. And a brief moment of drama again on the grid. That's Alex Tagliani driving the 3rd AJ Foyt racing entry that has not fired and moved away from the starting grid. We'll keep our eyes on that story as the rest of the field begins the 3 parade and 1 pace laps before the green flag waves. So the end of each one of these straightaways, twice a lap for 200 laps. An opportunity for some drama.
I can get my lap back. Restart it fast.
The question for Tagliani is not that the engine won't start, it's that he can't get it into gear. That's the report up from pit lane. So again, we continue to monitor the status of the 48 car. Tagliani's been refired and driven away, but that is coming from the back of Connor Daly's machine, and that doesn't look good.
And he's going particularly slow.
In case there's a fire, the bottle's coming towards you.
Wow, what a shame for him, a local driver. There you can see, obviously, there must be some leak, a little bit of a fire in the back of that car. Connor from Noblesville, Indiana, not far from here, one of the 2 local drivers that are in this event. Brian Clausen being the other. See, the spotter just told him that he had a fire in the back, so he pulled off into the access lane. What a shame for that young American driver.
Very sad to see that. He'd had a great month till now. I don't think they'll be able to repair that and get him back in the race, Scott.
Well, as you know, a lot of times with any heat or flames, Eddie, a lot of times some damage to the car, maybe even some wiring harness, so that's going to be very difficult for him. He's done a great job all month. A lot of local support. His dad, Derek, had raced Formula 1 and IndyCar, so shame for that.
Have a car on pit road, Rick.
This Buddy Lazier, he was complaining at the very beginning he's got a stuck throttle. They're trying to figure out if they can get it fixed, but right now, as you can see, he may miss the start of this race.
The 1996 winner on pit road as the field has gotten the 1 to go signal. They begin to form up the 11 rows of 3.
Already events unfolding before we ever get around to starting the race. Paulie Haraka just ran into the rear end of Alex Kennedy's car.
Jacques Villeneuve has already put his car on pit road, and Bobby Labonte's car was pushed back to the garage area.
The 52 and 19 getting together on the pit lane. Paulie Haraka, there you see him in the 52, got into Alex Kennedy. Both set to make their Sprint Cup debut today, and here's a replay of what happened.
That's just guys not paying attention. That's all
right.
That is.
19, the white machine of Alex Kennedy, and Paulie Haraka apparently not watching what's going on in front of him, just drilled him.
I have no idea what he was doing on that.
Sitting this long, and I can't remember anybody sitting this long in top field. You have to go back 50 seconds. How much fuel? We may have a light problem here. It looks like Rick's trying to get the lights to... Yep, he's shutting them off, so it is not their situation. He's now telling everybody to shut off. So are we getting raindrops again at the far end of the racetrack? A strange turn of events. Now, we've got no reports of rain from Bill Stevens at the far end. But all of a sudden, it looked to me like Rick was trying to trigger the system and could not get it done.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe he was trying to put the red lights on to back them both out. You know, we're gonna have to wait and see what happened. I don't think they were trying to go in the bottom stage light. Just didn't work. I think maybe he was trying to trip the tree to get the red light to come on to back these guys out. But we'll have to wait and see what really happened.
Rick Stewart's not too pleased, no matter what the situation. There is Clay Millican. I just heard over the PA disqualification. Now,
that's exactly what we're hearing here. Is we're standing very close to both Rick Stewart and Graham Light, Marty. That's what Rick was complaining about a little bit, about maybe some unsafe things going on. Rick, what's the ultimate decision going to be here?
Okay, I had to shut them off because of the safety issue, the fuel load, everything else, the heat. They get out there with no weight on the front wheels, do a blowover, run out of fuel down the half track, blow the whatever. So I shut them off. They can go to the back. If they do it again, they're out of here.
Oh, listen to this. Herbert.
Guys, we got a fight going on down here. We got Doug Herbert and the Clay Millican crews going at it.
Looks like we're at a NASCAR race.
Man, that didn't take long at all. Doug Herbert came over to talk to Clay Millican. One of the crew guys on Clay's team stepped in, and the punches started flying, guys.
Well, we ran a track race and a hockey game broke out. Bill, what's going on?
I don't know if you remember this, but earlier this year, I want to say Pomona, might have been Phoenix, Doug Herbert got out of his car after running Clay Millican and was incensed, waved his fist at him, was yelling at him. Obviously, something that happened when they were staging the cars. This goes back a ways. This is nothing that started this weekend.
Well, Doug Herbert was close to getting into a fisticuffs. Of course, he had the helmet on, and he's awfully big, too. Parker, you've caught up with Clay?
Yeah, I've got Clay Millican, and we always look at the explosive competition on the track. You guys didn't even get that far.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you just got to be, you know, you make up your mind you want to go in first or last, and obviously me and Doug both decided we wanted to go in last, and you know what? It's all great for the fans. Warner Enterprises, we got a little TV time out of this, so you know what? My boss man, he's behind me 100%. Peter Lehman, he's the man. You know what? I hate that happened, and Doug Herbert is a serious competitor, and I like to consider myself a serious competitor. Things happen, you know, on the start line. It's no friends when you're up on the start line.
Well, you got a couple of IHRA champions there. Is there some past history between you and Doug?
No, actually not. The only time I've run Doug is here in the NHRA, and he's a great guy. I hate that happened, but you know what? I had made up my mind I wanted to go in last, and obviously he did too. So I hate that, you know. These guys out here in the stands obviously liked it. You know what? My guys, they're awesome. Werner, you know, they stand behind me no matter what I do because they know how to deliver the load. And that's what I was trying to do up on that start line, deliver the load.
I mentioned earlier this year in Phoenix, you guys had a little bit of a deal at the starting line. And, Doug, you said it goes even further back than that.
It goes back. He's burned us down every time I've ever raced him. Romine raced him at IHRA. He burns him down every time. So I just went up there and I figured, well, I'm not going to go in first because I don't want to get burned down. I pulled on the high side. I was ready to go in. He wouldn't go in. So I was going to sit there until the cow come home, and he didn't come home. So
what happens when you pull up again?
Same thing. He's going in. He needs to get, I don't know who he thinks he is. He's won 10 races over in the Hillbilly organization, and I've won it about 3 times more. So he needs to go to school. I'll take that boy to school. Let me tell you.
Well, now what do you do to the car now? Just refuel it? You don't have to service it completely, do you?
I don't know. We'll go back and probably need to get back and get working on it so we can get back here. Because we're going to send, I'm going to give him a driving lesson like he ain't never had, I'll tell you.
Doug Herbert is as hot as I'd ever seen him. 4 IHRA World Championships over there. Clay, of course, the reigning champion. And although they never raced each other over there, there is a little bit of an edge between them.
Now, because number 5 is not on YouTube, to the best of my knowledge, and believe me, I've checked, What I have decided to do is to simulate it so we don't have to wait any longer to tell you what happened with this particular story. It was the 2001 Fall Vegas race for the NHRA. In the funny car division, Bob Bodie, played by Andy Houston, took on John Force, played by Johnny Benson. Kyle Petty in this case will play the green light, and Bill Elliott will play the red light. Now what ends up happening is that when they were trying to get the cars staged so they can actually do the race, Bob Bodie, for whatever reason, takes off. John Force, in reaction to that, goes after him. Now the interesting part is when that happened, the staging lights were never activated, which triggered a double red light. Now, under the original variant of the first or worst rule, what's supposed to happen is whoever has the larger foul is automatically disqualified unless the opponent crosses the center line or hits the wall afterhand, which has happened on rare occasion. But back then, there was also a stipulation involving the first or worst rule in which the starter has to activate the tree in some way, shape, or form, including the staging lights, for this to be fact. What happens is, since Bodie left before even the staging lights were activated, and then Force left in response while also not staging whatsoever, this resulted in a double red light. Under that rule, it was a double disqualification, which means neither driver advances to the next round, and the second round opponent would get a bye run. John Force, of course, was not happy about it, and according to said story, he was in one of his little whiny raging fits, trying to figure out what was going on and such, even went to the officials of the NHRA for clarification. Eventually, it was figured out that John was, once again, in the wrong, but unlike other times where John is in the wrong, he actually apologized for it. In the one piece of footage I managed to find, John Force somewhat explains what I was saying in the following interview.
Let's go to Dave Reef. He has caught up with John Force. Anything cooler back in the pits now?
Well, exactly, Marty. Cooler heads have prevailed right now, and John has had a little bit of time to take in what's happened today, and understandably, John, a rule's a rule.
Cool down, you're trying to say. Bottom line, you read the rule book, it says worst is first or first is worse. But then later in the rule book, it says if the starter doesn't activate the tree, it gets really confusing. But there's two issues here. As a driver representing NHRA and my sponsors, I want to give an apology for getting loud and upset up in the tower. I owe an apology to Graham Light, and I owe an apology to the people that are there. I want to do that because we don't have a right to do that. No driver does. Bottom line, in all sports, umpire makes a call. Right or wrong, if the umpire makes the call, you're out. And I'm out, and that's why I'm giving this apology.
He's an 11-time champ, and he's very classy.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you've been there, Cruz. You know what it's like. I mean, this is your life blood going through your veins here, and when a decision like that comes along, you want to do everything you can to make it go in your favor.
Yeah, and in John's case, he thought that the tree was activated, and he didn't think he did wrong. And hey, John just got caught up in a situation there, and the bottom line is he had a great car coming into this race. He wanted to win just like everybody else does. But like he says, cooler heads prevail. John is, like Dave says, a classy guy, and he just he'll make it right with everybody and move on to Pomona and try to redeem himself there.
We talked about a lot of different scenarios for sure. And, well, we got some action going on before we ever get started here. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. We think we know what we want to do if we can just make all of that happen.
Yeah, we had a couple of guys get together coming down for the signal. 1 lap to go, DJ.
Yeah, it looked like Mark was trying to warm up his tires and maybe got a little loose and came over into the 48. So I don't know if there's any damage, but we'll have to see what happens.
Oh, man, it's starting early, DJ. Good luck.
It is starting early. Hopefully that'll be as much action as we'll have today, other than just a lot of passing.
All right, man, thanks.
and the rest of the starting field for today's EA Sports 500. What was that all about?
The 48 right front fender, when I looked up, was pretty well damaged.
Man.
What do you do about that?
I'm monitoring NASCAR's radio. I believe the 6 team is asking permission to pass the pace car to try and come to pit road and check their car. Permission being denied, of course. You're never allowed to pass the pace car.
Well, you see Mark on the outside, front row.
Left front down so far that the tire hit the fender there, Mark. Oh, that wasn't it, buddy. It was mechanically down. It was locked. It wasn't a fender.
What in the world? I have no idea.
He's talking like the way he's talking to Ben Leslie is all of a sudden it just locked up. He was turning it left, and it would not turn back to the right. It just locked up. Matt, what are they saying down there?
Benny, Chad Canals was lobbying NASCAR that they could bring the 48 down the hold-off throw in the green. They are not, the way it sounds now, they are not going to do that. Chad is still lobbying. He says that his spotter told him that there is damage to the right front fender. Chad is still lobbying. Rick Hendrick is now coming into the mix, helping to lobby on the 48 team's part.
And Matt, while that's going on, they're putting Mark Martin's number up on the board. He's being black flagged. Dave, what's up there?
It's okay. It's perfect. Still posting us. They're still posting us. We got to come down and raise the hood.
All right. Having some troubles with Dave's microphone. We'll get him fixed in a minute. You see Mark Martin following the pace car down pit road as the field comes to the green flag. One championship contender in trouble before we even start.
And we heard Ben Leslie say, NASCAR's posted us. We've got to come down and raise the hood.
All right, Bobby, we'll let you pay attention to your very important job of bringing the field down. One car in trouble, the 36 car, unbelievable. Roberto Guerrero, the pole sitter, in trouble. No indication why this could have happened at all. We're only on the second parade lap, not even to the pace lap, and Roberto Guerrero spins the car. Talk about his bad luck here, Sam Posey. It struck again.
He has been on an emotional roller coaster throughout the month of May. Of course, he has not driven in cars, in racing cars, for almost a full year since he raced here. That's his wife, Katie, there. Of course, a look of disbelief. What could you be thinking at this point? They weren't even up to medium speed. It had to have been some incredible mechanical problem. You're looking at the team there of Kenny Bernstein. We're going to see him on the middle of the screen there. Absolutely inexplicable.
The only thing that one might consider, Bobby indicated to us, Bobby Unser, how cold it is, and because of that, look, the car is damaged.
Yeah, no question, he's out of the race.
The tires may not have come up to full temperature, and maybe with that high torque engine, when he shifted gears, just suddenly.
Boy, it...
Oh, what a terrible situation for Roberto Guerrero. One of the nicest men.
We thought that he was making a true comeback. Of course, he was one of the fastest and best drivers in IndyCar racing in the mid-70s. He suffered a concussion at this track in 1987 in a testing accident. He was in a coma for 17 days. And after that, and we're looking back now from the pace car, look at the right there, Roberto. Wow, he appears to have just turned suddenly, doesn't he, Paul? I think car owners felt that he never had fully... this is Philippe Gash. Incredible.
And this is Philippe Gash, who spun in the fourth turn. We're not even to the pace lap of this race. And that, now that we've had two of them, what do you think? The track is very cold. These tires must also be cold.
That's possible, but I don't think that's what happened to Roberto. Now, of course, Philippe Gash is very inexperienced in open wheelers, cars with this kind of power, no prior experience. I talked to him just a couple of days ago, and I said, Philippe, what's the toughest thing that's happened to you all month? He said, I think the toughest thing is ahead of me, the start.
Near tears, Katie Guerrero. Her husband's car has been reported as too damaged to continue on. A report from a driver further back in the field was that Roberto just suddenly accelerated, perhaps going up to shift gears, and then this happened. The pole sitter at the Indianapolis 500 is out before the start of the race. And Philippe Gash, the number 44 car, Very much the same sort of situation, I would say, Sam.
Yes, certainly can suggest that the cold tires mated with over 700 horsepower as you're going up from second to third gear could produce that. It is obviously devastating for Roberto Guerrero.
Marco Andretti, the Iowa Corn, on board camera. Well, the 98 car of Alex Tagliani has spun, and so we're not going to go green here on this lap. Trying to get Tag started up and on the way here. He was scheduled to start in the 9th position. You can see he is being pushed onto the racetrack as the two-seater comes to a halt.
Hey, Bobby, Alex's car wouldn't start when we were in Detroit, so he's had a few issues here at the start of a race.
Yeah. Well, let's hope he gets things ready to go here. Still not moving.
And Bob, Joseph Newgarden was told on his radio, be aware, you might be able to move up a slot. Let's just kind of stand by and see whether we're starting in our regular location or maybe they let us move up with the issue with Tagliani.
All right.
Bob, when you see these grooves and you see them weaving back and forth and trying to keep the tires clean, which is not much of a problem after there's been rain, Tommy, I think that because of the rain, the running into the two grooves will come sooner. Because, Dario Franchitti was smoked.
The pole sitter.
I was just going to say, is this thing making a funny noise?
Wow.
Yeah, she just went out of plume of smoke, buddy.
Oh, my. Wow.
A big hit for Dario in the points. If this thing is terminal, as they expect it to be, how about that? Let's take a look at what happened. Just a big puff of smoke.
Just warming up. Wow. Well, you know, that is one thing about the championship this year is there's engine competition. And we haven't seen this for a while, but when the engine manufacturers are pushing the envelope, now you don't expect to have one blow up on the warm-up lap.
Well, he was a two-time winner here at Iowa in 2007 and 2009, but in a cloud of smoke, he emerges from his race car, and it appears to be all over for Dario Franchitti before the race begins. The pole sitter out before green.
So much at stake. A crowd of over 120,000 on hand, and all of the familiar teams of IndyCar racing. Each individual in this great racing plant has their own reason for being here, but make no mistake, history will be made here today at Michigan. The field, perhaps the most qualified in IndyCar history, world championships in both Formula One cars and sports cars. 7 IndyCar titles, 131 total IndyCar victories between them. Jimmy Vasser, who has won 3 of the first 5 races of the season and is the points leader coming into this race, will bring the field up to speed. And we have a crash in turn 4. A crash approaching the green flag, and many, many cars are involved.
Well, something has obviously gone wrong on cold tires. Maybe that might be the possibility. A half shaft braking. It looked like one of the cars went directly 90 degrees to the right, so we're not quite sure, and we got quite a collision here on our hands.
At least 9 cars involved, at least 9 cars stationary right now. No idea how many may be damaged, but still circulating. I see Eddie Lawson's car going by, missing half of its rear wing. You see the drivers climbing out of their cars. There is Jimmy Vasser, the pole sitter, as he makes his way away. We have a red flag on the racetrack. Obviously, this cannot continue. We have a red flag, all stop, and we'll start all over again. Let's get down to Jan Bikus in the pit lane.
Bob, because we have a red flag, we're down here with the Ganassi Racing crew, and they're quickly working on Jimmy Vasser's spare car. They are one of the few teams that has brought a spare car to pit road. They are hoping that they will be able to use this car. Of course, they'll have to wait for a ruling from IndyCar, but the crew frantically down here trying to get this car ready.
There is the scene from high overhead. Now we get word from the officials that backup cars will be eligible for the restart. On the left, Jimmy Vasser. On the right, Brian Herta, talking the whole situation over. They were 2 of the 3 cars on the front row. And the action began right up there on the front row. It appears that all the drivers are out of their cars. The safety crews are working on them. Let's take another look, Scott.
Well, it looks like Jimmy Vasser on the pole position just turned right. Now, I would say something must have went wrong with the car, because if he got on the gas too soon on cold tires, usually the car would go to the inside like we've seen before numerous times. And this just turned right. So we're not quite sure why that is. So the guys are going evenly side by side, and a little bit of acceleration will come up here very shortly. I would say those 2 cars between Fernandez and Vasser are very close, very close. The left front wheel of Fernandez was hooking on the inside of Jimmy Vasser's right rear, and I would say those guys were probably just a little bit too close for the start.